Welcome again to this edition of Meet the Candidates. I'm David Nicholas with you here on WCMU. We are speaking with our guests virtually, joined this time by Jim Page. He is the Democratic candidate for the 107th Michigan House District. This is an open seat in this year's election. Mr. Page, congratulations on the win in the August primary. We appreciate you joining us. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
And in the first minute or two, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and the experience that you bring to this campaign?
Okay, first of all, if I'm running to be the voice of the people of this district in Lansing, I am a retired middle school teacher from the Sioux area middle school. I was been a teacher for 28 years. I am a veteran. I spent 6 years in the United States Marine Corps. I am a hunter, I am a fisherman, and I'm an environmentalist. My goal is to improve public education by making sure schools are fully and fairly funded, and including early childhood development and vocational education, as well as college educations. Students should be able to leave our school system and earn a livable wage. I will support legislation to protect our environment. Climate change is real and is a threat to our country. I support all renewable fuel sources such as wind and solar power. We need to reduce our use of fossil fuels, all right? And I support hybrid and electric automobiles, okay? I will support legislation to decommission Line 5, and I refuse to build a tunnel. Michigan workers are the best in America, and they deserve to earn a livable wage. I believe in a livable wage for everybody. I think we should also have a fair and progressive tax system for all the residents and businesses in Michigan. We must reduce taxes on families and senior citizens. I believe in affordable health care for all citizens, including the inclusion of mental health care. And again, I want to be the voice for the people of this district. That's who I am, and that's my background.
Alrighty, and looking a little more closely then at some of these issues, you mentioned first of all schools and the funding issue and early childhood education. What would be your specific proposal? As we said, this is an open seat, the proposal that you would bring as the elected representative for District 107.
Well, the first thing that we have to do is look at funding, and we have to get an equitable way of funding our school systems that is going to provide the adequate system for all the students. Early childhood development, we need to put more money into it. We need to make childcare available for workers. We need to probably restructure, and this year is going to be hard with the budget because of COVID-19. Next year, we're going to have to do some things legislatively to improve our revenue and to make sure that we have the revenue that can support our public schools and are in there. So we'll have to come up with a budget. We have to work on the budget. And this is going to be something that's going to have to be worked through the government and legislature to make sure that everything gets done and funded correctly. And there's no one answer. There's no easy answer for it.
Do you support then an overhaul of Proposal A, which has been the primary school funding model and structure since 1994?
We do need to look at that. We need to make sure it's modernized. What problem that I had with the Proposal A and the lottery, when we put money into it, they took money out of it that was already included in the general funds. So it was kind of a, here's money and then take money out. And we need to make sure that we get some of that money funding back into it.
Two issues on the environment then, sir. You talked about renewable energy sources and also the overall debate that continues regarding Line 5. First of all, when we look at renewable sources, there have been energy portfolio proposals that we have seen in recent years. What then do you propose towards the percentages in looking at renewable sources versus traditional sources of fuel?
Well, we need to go through and do renewable energy. We need to make sure that we have enough solar farms around this area. We can have more solar farms in here and more wind farms in here to generate electricity and increase our percentage of that. It's something that we can do. It might take an investment to do that, but it's necessary to protect our environment in the long run. We need to reduce our consumption of fossil fuels. So I think that we need more uh, emphasis on hybrid cars and electric automobiles, electric vehicles. Personally, I had a hybrid car that was getting great gas mileage and it was doing my items. But I reduced my number of vehicles down, so I don't have that anymore. But I have a diesel vehicle which is 30 miles to the gallon. So, and it's a clean vehicle, so it's less emissions than standard. So that's what I'm doing in there right now, and I think we need to do more of that,
As we
just in
look,
general.
and if we look then at your proposal then to move towards a decommissioning of Line 5, then as you look at these renewable sources, do you have a specific plan of how you would address replacing that transfer and supply of energy between the two peninsulas?
Well, you have to understand, when I look at Line 5, and I am a resident of the Eastern Upper Peninsula, and I have my house is on propane, all right? Only 5% of our energy, or 5% of the energy that or oil that's going through the Line 5 is actually used in the United States. That's the total 5%. And it's Canadian oil that's going to a Canadian resource, and they're using it in Canada. There's alternative ways of rerouting Line 5 through Canadian soil. It's not an issue to be able to replace that in our country or for our state because it's not there. Propane is somewhat of an issue, but it's a solvable issue. It only affects the central UP. It does not affect the Eastern Upper Peninsula. We get it by rail cars from Kinross. The western end of the UP gets their propane from Wisconsin by either truck or rail cars. And the central UP, we can actually use propane or continue supply propane through just about a 3 to 5 mile spur, and it can be shipped in by rail cars. So it's not really an issue for Michigan or for the United States to replace that oil.
About 4 minutes left with you, sir. We're speaking with Jim Page, Democratic candidate for Michigan's 104th or 107th House District, the 107th District House race, an open seat, as we said, in this year's election. You also brought up health care. We have saw the debate in the run-up to the passage of the Affordable Care Act, and certainly the debate that has continued since its passage. What would be your specific proposals as we look to changes in Michigan's overall health care system?
Well, first of all, I do support a single payer healthcare system. However, and I'm going to say that this is kind of contradictory, the state of Michigan is probably can only do it through the Medicare, and we have to do it through the federal government. So the healthcare system that we have right now is limited to more of a federal issue. But I would do my best to maintain that the state keeps the Medicare system that we have now and expands it for as many people as we can. It's more or less the status quo for us at the state legislature.
When you say covers as many as possible, then is there something that you would address if we are not under what you propose and support a single payer system to cover everyone? Then what would the additional support model look like?
Well, what I'm talking about right now, the single care is more of a national issue, and that's the single payer in there. Right now is I want to protect where they're trying to limit the number of people that can get into Medicare and Medicaid through the state access. I know that we've passed legislation, and it has passed in here in Michigan, to keep people on the rolls for Medicare and Medicaid. We need to maintain that at the state level. I also would like to see us be able to reduce or include more for Medicare for people that need it. You know, there's a lot of people out there that do not have health care system, and we need to cover them, especially with COVID going around.
Anything that you would then identify either from your position as a candidate or what the voters you've been speaking with have said to you that you would identify as any other major issues that are facing all of us as we enter this campaign?
Major issues, well, technically, the one major issue that I keep hearing from voters is how do we get back to being more inclusive in our political system? And how do we start working for everybody in this country rather than the polarization and the divisions that are being in our country? One of the issues that we really have to do with in there is, and I will say that I do support it, is the movement to demilitarize the police officers. Now, I'm not saying defund it, but I'm saying demilitarize it so that we need to prevent or reduce the lethal force in our police officers. And I would like to see our police officers become more, when they're walking up to a car, rather than having their hand on the gun or their gun pulled out, be able to walk up to an individual and have a conversation with them without threats going back and forth.
And in our last half minute then, sir, what would be the message that you would want to leave with voters as they get set to go to the polls in November?
If you're looking at individuals, you have to understand that I am a normal, everyday citizen, and I have the views of an everyday citizen. And I'm not hard left, I'm not hard right. I am the person that you can trust to do the right thing at all times. And I will make decisions based upon the clear evidence, and I will look at issues and make sure that we go in the right direction for as many people as possible. I know that there's some people, you can't please all the people. So you've got to do it at being a centrist. You have to be able to please the majority of the people and get things done.
Well, we do certainly appreciate your time today, and thank you for addressing the voters in this upcoming race. Good luck with the rest of the campaign.
Okay, thank you.
We've been speaking with Jim Page, the Democratic candidate for Michigan's 107th House District race, an open seat in the 2020 election. Following all of the Michigan campaign and election laws, we invited all qualifying candidates to participate in this series. We invite you to join us again, and please remember to go out and cast your votes on Tuesday, November 3rd.